And welcome back to another video. Okay, in this video we are going to talk about the chapter number 6. In last video we talk about the okay, and today we talk about the chapter number 6, that is the 5 laws of gold. Gold के वो 5 laws के बारे में. And so without wasting the time, let's start. A bag heavy with gold or a clay tablet carved with words of wisdom. If thou hadst the choice, which wouldst thou choose? By the flickering light from the fire of desert shrubs, the sun-tanned faces of the listeners gleamed with interest. The gold, the gold. Caressed the 27-old Kalabaf smiled knowingly. Hark, he resumed, raising his hand, hear the wild dog out there in the night. They howl and wail because they are lean with hunger. Yet feed them, and what do they? Fight and strut. Then fight and strut some more, giving not thought to the tomorrow that will surely come. Just so it is with the sons of men. Give them a choice of gold and wisdom. What do they do? Ignore the wisdom and waste the gold. No, on tomorrow they will, because they have no more gold. Gold is reserved for those who know its love and abide of them. Kalabab drew his white robe close about his lean legs for a cool night wind was blowing, because thou hast served me faithfully upon our long journey, because thou cared well for my camels, because thou toiled of complaining across the hot sands of the desert, because thou fought bravely the robbers that sought the death spoil my merchandise. I will tell thee this night the tale of the 5 laws of gold. Such a tale as thou never hast heard before. Hark, ear with deep attention to the words I speak, for if you grasp their meaning and heed them, into the days that come thou shalt have much gold. He paused impressively above in a canopy of blue. The stars shone brightly in the crystal clear skies of Babylonia. Behind the group loomed their feathered tents, tightly staked against possible desert storms. Beside the tents were neatly stacked bales of merchandise covered with skins. Nearby the camel herd sprawled in the sun. Now some chewing their cords contentedly, others snoring in horrorous discord. Thou hast told us many good tales. Kalabab spoke of the chief baker, with look to the wisdom to guide us upon the morrow, when our service with thee shall be at an end. I have but told thee of my adventures in the strange and distant land. But this night I shall tell thee of the wisdom of Archer, the wise rich man. Much have we heard of him, acknowledged the chief baker, for he was richest man that ever lived in Babylon. The richest man he was, and because he was wise in the ways of God, even as no man had ever been before him. This night shall I tell you of this great wisdom, as it was told me by Namasir, his son, many years ago in 9th Nineveh, when I was but a bud. My master and myself had tarried long into the night in the palace of the Namasir. I had helped my master bring great bundles of 9 rocks, each one up to be tried by Namasir until his choices of colors was satisfied. At last he was well pleased and commanded to us to sit with him and to drink a rare vintage odor to the nostrils and most warming to my stomach, which was unaccustomed to such a drink. Then did he tell us this tale of the great wisdom of Archer, his father, even as I shall tell it to you. In Babylon it is the custom As you know, that the sons of wealthy fathers live with their parents in expectation of inheriting the estate. Arkar did not approve of this custom. Therefore, when Nawasi reached man's estate, he sent for the young man and addressed him. My son, it is my desire that thou succeed to my estate. Thou must, however, the first prove that thou art capable of wisely handling it. Therefore, I wish that thou go out into the world and show the ability both to acquire gold and to make thyself respected among men. To start the will I will give the two things of which I myself was denied when I started as a poor youth to will of a fortune. First, I give thee this bag of gold. If thou use it wisely, it will be the basis of the future success. Second, I gave this clay tablet upon which is carved the five laws of God. If thou dost but interpret them in thy own acts, by shall bring the competence and security. 10 years from this day, come thou back to the house of the Father and give account of the self themselves if thou prove worthy. I will then make thee the heir to my estate, otherwise I will give it to the priest that may better for my soul and land consideration of the gods. So Namasir went forth to make his own way, taking his bag of gold, the clay tablet carefully wrapped in silken cloth, his slave and horses upon which they rode. The 10 years passed, and Nawasir, as he had agreed, returned to the house of his father, who provided a great feast in his honor, to which he invited many friends and relatives. After the feast was over, the father and mother mounted their throne like seats at one side of the great hall, and Nawasir stood before them to give an account of himself as he had promised his father. It was evening. The room was hazy with smoke from the wicks of the oil lamps that but dimly lighted it. Slaves in white woven jackets and tunics fanned the humid air rhythmically with long steamed plum leaves. A stately dignity colored the scene. The wife of Namasir and his two young sons, with friends and other members of the family, sat upon rocks behind him, eager listeners. My father, he began deferentially, I bow before their wisdom. Then, 10 years ago, when I stood at the gates of the manhood, thou bade me go forth and become a man among men. Instead of remaining a vessel to the fortune, thou gave me liberally of the gold. Thou gave me liberally of the wisdom of the God. Alas, I must admit of the distraught handling. It fled indeed from my inexperienced hands, even as a wild hare flees at the first opportunity from the youth who captures it. The father smiled indulgently. Continue, my son. The tale interests me in all its details. I decided to go to the Nineveh as it was a growing city, believing that I might find the opportunities. I joined a caravan and among its members made numerous friends to well-spoken men who had a most beautiful white horse, as fleet as the wind were among these. As we journeyed, they told me in confidence that it never was a wealthy man who owned a horse of swift that it had never been beaten. Its owner believed that no horse living could. Okay, and therefore would the wager any sum, however, last that his horse could outspeed any horse in all Babylonia compared to their horse. So many friends said it was but a lumbering ass that could be beaten with ease. They offered as a great favor to permit me to join them in a wager. I was quite carried away with the plan. Our horse was badly beaten, and I lost most of my gold. The father laughed Later, I discovered that this was a deceitful plan of these men, and they constantly journeyed with caravans seeking victims. You see, the man in the Nineveh was their partner and shared with them the bears he owned. This shrewd deceit taught me my first lesson in looking out for myself. I was soon to learn another equally bitter. In the caravan was another young man with whom I became quite friendly. He was the son of wealthy parents and, like myself, journeying to the Nivehe to find a suitable location. Not long after our arrival, he told me that a merchant had died and his shop with its rich merchandise and patrons could be secured at a paltry price, saying that we would be equal partners, but first he must return to Babylon to secure his gold. He prevailed upon me to purchase the stock with my gold, agreeing that that his would be used later to carry on our venture. He long delayed the trip to Babylon, proving in the meantime to be an unwise buyer and a foolish spender. I finally put him out, but not before the business had deteriorated to where we had only unsellable goods and no gold to buy other goods, and I sacrificed what was left to another Israelite for the pitiful sum. Soon there followed, I tell you, my father bitter days. I sought employment and found it not for I was without trade or training that would enable me to earn. I sold my horses, I sold my slave, I sold my extra robes that I might have food and a place to sleep. But each day grim want crossed closer. But in those bitter days I remembered the confidence in me. My father, the hardest, sent me forth to become a man. And when this I was determined to accomplish, the mother buried her face and wept softly. At this time I bethought me of the table thou had given to me, upon which thou had carved the 5 laws of God. Therefore I read most carefully the words of wisdom and realized that had I but sought wisdom first, my gold would not have been lost to me. I learned by heart is slow and determined that when once more the goddess of good fortune smiled upon me, I would be guided by the wisdom of age and not by the experience of youth. For the benefit of you who are seated here this night, I will read the wisdom of my father as engraved upon the clay tablet which he gave to me 10 years ago. Next is 5 laws of gold. First one is gold comes gladly and increasing quantity to any man who will food by not less than 1/10 of his earnings to create an estate for his future and that of his family. The second one is gold labored diligently and contentedly for the wise owner and who finds for it profitable employment. Next, gold is clean to the protection of the courteous owner who invests it under the advice of men wise in the handling. Gold slippeth away from the men who invest it in business or purposes with which he is not familiar or which are not approved by those skills in its keep. Last one is gold please the men who would force it to impossible earnings or who followed the luring advice of tricksters and schemers or who trust it to his own experiences and romantic desires in investment. There are 5 laws of gold as written by my father. I do proclaim that them as a greater value that gold itself, as I will show by the continuance of my tale. He again faced his father. I have told thee of the depth of poverty and despair to which my experience brought me. However, there is no chain of disaster that will not come to an end. Mine came when I secured employment managing a crew of slaves working upon the new outer wall of the city. Profiting from my knowledge of the first law of the gold, I saved a copper from my first earnings, adding to it at every opportunity until I had a piece of silver. It was a slow procedure, for one must live. I did spend grudgingly, I admit, because I was determined to earn back before the 10 years were over as much gold as you, my father, had given to me. One day, the slave master with whom I had become quite friendly said to me, "Thou the art a triply youth who spends not want only what he earns, hast the gold put by that is not earnings." Yes, I replied, it is my greatest desire to accumulate gold to replace that which my father gave to me and which I have lost. This a worthy ambition I will grant, and do you know that the gold which you have saved can work for you and earn much more gold? Alas, my experience has been bitter, for my father's gold has fled from me, and I am in much fear lest my own do the same. If thou hast confidence in me, I will give thee a lesson in the profitable handling of gold. He replied, within a year, the outer wall will be complete and ready for the great gates of bronze that will be built at each entrance to protect the city from the king's enemies. In all Nevaeh there is not enough metal to make these gates, and the king has not thought to provide it. Here is my plan. A group of us will pull our gold and send a caravan to the mines of copper and tin, which are distant, and bring to Nevaeh the metal for the gates. When the king says, make the great gates, we alone can supply the metal and raise price will pay. If the king will not buy from us, we will yet have the metal which can be sold for a fair price. In his offer, I recognize an opportunity. Abide by the third law and invest my savings under the guidance of wise men. Nor was I disappointed. Our pool was a success, and my small store of gold was greatly increased by the transaction. In due time, I was accepted as a member of the same group in other ventures. They were men wise in the profitable handling of gold. They talked over each plan presented with great care before entering upon it. They would take no chance on losing their principal or trying it off unprofitable investments from which their gold could not be recovered. Such foolish things as the horse race and the partnership into which I had entered with my experience would have had scant consideration with them. They would have immediately pointed out their weaknesses. Through my association with these men, I learned to serve invest my goal to bring profitable returns. As the years went on, my treasure increased more and more rapidly, and I not only made back as much as I lost, but much more. Through my misfortunes, my trials, and my success, I have tasted time and again the wisdom of the five laws of God, my Father, and have proven them true in every test. To him who is without knowledge of the five laws, gold comes not often and goeth away quickly. But to him who abides by the five laws, gold comes and works as his dutiful slave. Masir ceased speaking and mentioned to a slave in the back of room. The slave brought forward one at a time 3 heavy leather bags. One of these Nawasir looked and placed upon the floor before his father addressing his again. Thou he didst give to me a bag of gold, Babylon gold, behold, in its place. I do return to the bag of Nevaeh, gold of equal weight, and equal exchange, all equal exchange. All will agree. Thou didst give me a clay tablet inscribed with the wisdom. Behold, in its stead, I do return 2 bags of gold, to saying, He took from the slave the other two bags, and likewise placed them upon the floor before his father. This I do prove that the father of how much greater value I consider the wisdom than the gold. Yet who can measure in bags of gold the value of wisdom without sabu, sabu without wisdom, gold is quickly lost by those who have it, but with wisdom, gold can be secured by those who have not. As the Savior of God, it does indeed give to me to the face satisfaction my Father to stand before the and say that because of the wisdom I have been able to reach respected before the men. The Father placed his hand fondly upon a head of Namasir thou learned well lessons, and I am indeed fortunate to have son whom I may entrust my wealth. Kalabab chased his tail and looked critically at his listener. What means this to thee? This tale of to Namasir, he continued. Who amongst the can go to the father or to the father of the world? I give an account of ways handling of his earnings. What would this venerable man think were you know you to say, I have traveled much and learned much and labored much and earned much, yet at last gold I have titled little. Some I spent wisely, some I spent foolishly, and much I lost in unwise. Dost still think it but an inconsistency of a fate that some men have much gold and others have not? Then your men have much gold when they know the five motion uh, God appetite because Leon raised 5 laws of my youth, wider by them. I have become a wealthy merchant, not by some strange magic did I accumulate my wealthy wealth that comes quickly goes in the same way. Wealth that stays to give enjoyment and satisfaction. To its honor comes gradually because it is child born of knowledge and persistent purpose. To learn which thoughtful men bring the boredom consistently from here to the accomplice of the final purpose. The five law of God offers the okay. The 5 laws of God offer the rich reward for the other ones. Each of these 5 laws is rich with meaning and lest thou overlook, and this is the briefness of my tale. I will now repeat them. I would know them each by heart because in my youth I could see their value and honor because I came words for word. First law. Gold cometh gladly and increasing quantity to any man who will put by not less than 1/10 of his earnings to create an estate for his future and that of his family. Any man who will put by the 1/10 of the earnings consistently and invest it wisely it will share earnings, create an estate for his future and that of his family. Anyone who will put by 1/10 of his earnings consistently and invest it wisely with will surely create a valuable estate that will provide an income for him in the future and further guarantee such safety for his family in case the gods call him to the world of darkness. This law always says that God comes gladly such a man. I can truly certify this in my own life. The more gold I accumulate, the more rapidly it comes to me increased quantities. The gold which I save years more even as yours will its earnings seek earn more, and this is the working out of the past law. Second law, God laboureth delightfully and contentedly for the wise owner who finds the profitable employment multiplying even as flocks of the field. Okay, second law of the goal. The goal laboureth delightfully and contentedly for the wise owner who finds for it profitable employment multiplying even as the flocks of the field. Gold indeed is willing to work hard. It is ever eager to the multiply when opportunity presents itself to every man who had a store of gold set by opportunity comes for an most profitable use as the years pass. It multiplies itself in surprising fashion. And third law of gold is gold cleanly to the protection of the cultivation owner who invests it under the advice of a man wise in its working or handling. Gold indeed clings to the culture's owner even as in place the careless owner, the man who seeks the advice of men wise in handling gold soon learned not to the jeopardize his treasure, but to preserve in safety and to enjoy in contentment its constant increase. The fourth law of gold. Gold slips away from the man who invests it in businesses or purposes with which he is not familiar or which are not approved by those skilled in its keep. The man who had gold yet is not skilled in its handling. Many uses for it appear most profitable to often these are fraught with danger of loss, and if properly analyzed by wise men, so small possibility of profit. Therefore, inexperienced owner of gold who trust to an experiment trust his own judgment and invest business purposes which will not familiar to often finds judgment imperfect and faced with his treasure for his inexperiences wisely indeed in his he shall invest wise in he who invests his treasures under the advice of men's kin. Last law is fifth law of God. God flees the man who would force it to impossible earnings or who flouts the alluring advice to tricksters, schemers, or who trust it to his hmm, fanciful propositions that a tree like a venture tricksters or schemers who trust his own experiences and romantic desires in investment. Principal propositions that feel like adventure tales always come to the new owner of gold. These appear to endue his treasure with magic powers that will enable it to make impossible earnings. Yet heed ye the wise men for the verily they know the risks that lurk behind every plan to make great wealth suddenly. Forget not the rich men of Nineveh who would take no chance of losing their principal or trying it off to the unprofitable investment. Okay. Forget not rich men you have. Take a chance. Hmm. This ends my tale of 5 laws of God. In telling it today, I have told the secrets of my own success, yet they are not secrets but truth which every man must first learn and then follow who wishes to step out of the multimillionaire. Hmm. Wishes to step out the multitude that like wild dogs must worry each day for food or eat. Tomorrow we enter Babylon. Look, see the fire that burns eternal above the temple of Baal. We are already in sight of the golden city. Tomorrow, each of the mm, tomorrow we already in sight of the golden city. Tomorrow, each of us we shall have gold, the gold thou hast so well earned by the faithful service. 10 years from this night, what can you tell about is this gold? If there be a man among you who, like Nomasir, will use a portion of their gold to start for themselves an estate and be hence forth wisely guided by the wisdom of Arthur. 10 years from now, each safe wazir, like the son of Arthur, they will the rich and respected among men. Now our wise acts accompany us through life to please us and to help us. Hmm. Help us just as surely. Our unwise acts follow us to flock and momentous, alas they cannot be forgotten in the front of rank of the torments that follow us. The opponents came to us and we looked to rich unknown treasures of Babylon, so rich no man on count their value on pieces of gold. Each year they grow richer and more valuable, like the gold treasures. In the strength of the time, thin on desires and magic power guide this power with my knowledge. Or treasure of Babylon. Okay, yeah, I today why today nah, I'm not interested to read this book, but I completed this one, chapter number 6, the laws of 5 laws of the God.